Thank you for joining me. In this episode, I'd like to explore with you a radical idea. We move in the same 7-day cycle with which God created the world. By linking our 6 days of work to God's 6 days of creation and our rest on Shabbat to His rest on day 7, the Torah is actually comparing us to God in His capacity as a creator, conferring on us the radical status as God's partners in creation. But what does this actually mean? A Roman officer, Tunis Rufus, once asked the great Jewish sage, Rabbi Akiva, whose acts are greater, those of man or of God? This was a setup. The officer's intention was to question how the Torah could command circumcision. If God had wanted newborn sons to be circumcised, then He would have created them in that way. In response, Rabbi Akiva placed stalks of wheat and a loaf of bread before Tunis Rufus and asked him which he preferred. The officer replied, as expected, that he preferred the loaf of bread. Rabbi Akiva pointed out that God made the stalks of wheat while man made the loaf of bread. Rabbi Akiva's message was that God created this world in a state of potential. God does not want us just to accept things as they are. He wants us to improve the world. He gives us wheat seeds, but it is human creativity and ingenuity that transforms a small seed into delicious and nourishing food. When we do that, we're not going against God's will. That's exactly what He wants us to do. And just as making bread represents our partnership with God in creating and developing the physical world, circumcision, signifying the divine covenant with the Jewish people, represents our partnership with God in creating and developing our spirituality. Similarly, for 6 days we do whatever is necessary to improve the world and advance society. On Shabbat, we focus on developing our own potential. We create ourselves. And then when Shabbat departs, as we make Havdalah, we rededicate ourselves to our role as God's partner in creating the world around us. On the very first Saturday night of history, the Talmud tells us, as Shabbat came to an end, Adam invented fire. This proved a pivotal moment, humankind's first technological breakthrough, clearing the way for many more advances that make up the basic infrastructure on which civilization rests. At Havdalah, we commemorate the invention of fire by lighting a special candle and reciting the blessing, praising God who creates the lights of the fire. This moment symbolizes the return to the work of the week, because on Shabbat we are not allowed to light a fire. It is significant that the words of the blessing refer to God and represent the idea of partnership. The invention of fire was on the one hand a triumph of human ingenuity, and yet it was done in partnership with God, who created the human intellect and spirit, as well as the basic elements of the world that give birth to fire if harnessed correctly. Shabbat is a day to remind ourselves of the extraordinary honor of being God's partner in creating the world and ourselves. I invite you to learn more by reading my new book, Shabbat, A Day to Create Yourself, and find out how you can use Shabbat to get creative and change your life.